fund, that's just on the operational side. As the city manager indicated, the first 5-year contract did not have any provisions for capital expenditures. So within this contract, we are proposing to create a vehicle replacement fund. And our intent is to actually have a segregated fund within our books solely dedicated for the fire department, where our funding will go into it as well as the other cities, and will only be used for the fire department vehicle replacement. We use the same percentage funding that has been in the contract in the past and that we have allocated to operational costs. And so for Hickory Creek, the first year funding for the vehicle replacement program would be $26,000. So when you add the base increase for operations and the vehicle replacement program, you're looking at a $63,000 increase for year one, which is roughly about a 12% increase. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, as will Chief Burke and City Manager Presine.
Any questions from the council? I've got a couple questions when we start. Question about the EMS position. I believe that position's been gone now for what, 2 years, 3 years now? 2.5. What happened to that salary? Now that we're looking for an increase to get that money back, what happened to the salary of that person?
Basically what happened is within our budgets, CPI was negative, it was 2% and it was negative. And so we had increased costs with health insurance and everything else. Overall in our city, we had a 6% cut across all the departments. When that position became vacant, that position was eliminated. And so those costs were eliminated from the budget.
Okay. So with the increase back to the towns, with the new contract, we'll put that position back.
Correct.
Basically being funded by the other towns in your town.
Correct.
So forth. Okay. Another question for you on the, I know this is not the interlocal agreement, this is just the highlights of the contract and so forth. And I didn't see anything addressed in here, Chief. Last year we had a house burned down to the ground, and I didn't see anything in here as far as, the town council's done everything we could as far as fire hydrants over there, those kinds of things. We have development that's going to be coming in over there with a big enough line that's going to feed a fire hydrant into that subdivision. But what are we going to do in the meantime so that we prevent something like that?
That was kind of, as you know, you and I talked about it a few times, that was kind of a odd one with the ice storm and everything else. We did add and put up Flower Mound, who's got a tanker, in Little Elm. We've got them closer. With that fire hydrant going in down there, we'll be able to hit everything in that neighborhood from that hydrant once it's in there. But right now what we've had is anything that we have unhydranted areas, we've made County and Little Elm and Flower Mound our closest tankers. They were at that fire, just took forever to get there because of the ice storm and stuff. But they're aware of it. When they get toned out, they'll be coming with those. Little Elm will actually bring that before they bring their engine because they know those areas are out there. That answer the question, kind of?
Yeah, I guess I've just been thinking about that. So how fast did that house burn down? I mean, it was pretty
It took
fast.
us 9 minutes to get there, and when we got there, it was fully involved.
Okay, so that's 9. What's the turn time from Little Lamb over to here for that pumping truck?
Probably, it's at their station 1, their new headquarters station. It's probably about 13 minutes. Now, currently we already have 750 gallons on engine 1 and 750 on engine 2. That fire was kind of out of the ordinary because you had a real delayed call-in time because of the telephones and everything. You had the ice storm, so it slowed our response down. Most of the time when we get a call, even the fires that we've had down there previously to that, the first two engines there got water on the fire pretty quick and hold it. I would say about 60 to 75% of our fires, we can at least hold and check with one engine without even having hydrant water. And when that second one gets there, they're hooking up to a hydrant. So with what we bring with us and the amount of time, maybe 8 to 12 minutes for Little Elm to get there if they're in the house, we can at least hold them in check and get some other stuff working until we get some water. And we're carrying 1,000 gallon or 1,000 feet of 5-inch on each engine. So when we get down there, if that hydrant's down there, we got 2,000 feet that we can get at least an engine on the hydrant pumping. We could be 2,000 feet closer to the houses that are way back in the back. And then we carry other lines that we can lay and get out there. So at least we'll have some positive water. It may be farther away and it may not be right in front like we like it to be, but we've worked on some other contingencies to do with that fire. Unfortunately, everything that could go against us went against us. You know, the phone call came in real late, the ice storm was happening, everything that was going on bad went bad that day. I mean, because that day, even the tanker that got sent out, the second I got there, I called for the tankers and it took Flower Mound 45 minutes to get here. And they left when I called them. So, I mean, that was just how bad the storms were and everything else. So it was just one of those, the perfect storm hit that night.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about that, looking at your equipment purchases that you have, coming up. Didn't see anything in there as far as our own, or Corinth's fire department purchasing a pump, or tanker truck, for those areas and so forth. Y'all have the ETJ that's situated just like that? No?
That is the only thing that we have in our area that's not hydrant.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Just a few questions.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Councilman Frank.
I was just curious, it says you're reinstating their emergency coordinator position. That's not the same situation as the EMS position in terms of the funding. You're not refilling, or you're reinstating, but you haven't had one for how long?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, so that never figured into the budget previously. Okay, can you tell me what the responsibility of that position is going to be relative to benefiting the communities?
One thing that position does, one of the big things is writing the emergency management plan and coordinating with the 4 cities to be able to work together during a major emergency. And also run the emergency operations center if it ever happens. The other thing that it does, which is a big part of it, is the emergency warning system. You guys have Connect CTY. They run the storms and stuff for you guys for Connect CTY. We have Code Red, so we use it for ours. There is a lot of federal and state paperwork and certifications and training and ongoing stuff that has to be updated all the time. Mitigation plans and disaster plans and emergency response plans and contingency plans that they update all the time and that they have to get in and meetings and a lot of that stuff. The other thing that they'll do is go out and teach, know what to do, or they'll go out and teach about disasters and teach about how to be prepared and a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of
I was just curious because of previous involvement, what it was going to entail.
We're going to actually add, what I'd like to do is add a little bit more to that. They're going to take over the volunteer program, take over some more of the public education stuff, which is on some of our other chiefs, and it's just, one of the things is with the bureau director right now, he has emergency management, he has the bureau. As of September 1st of last year, 2011, we used to have all those 400 commercial inspections done by the crews on the street. So the engines and the medics would go out and do those inspections. Well, as of September of 2011, it became required that they had to be certified inspectors. So right now, our deputy chief in charge of the bureau is the only one that can do inspection. So he's got 400 of those on top of EMS and all the other stuff to get those done in a year. So we're hoping to move some of his stuff over to him so that until we get some other things in place to get some more inspectors in-house to help him with that.
Do you have that grant funding available?
Grant funding right now is about as dry as it was a couple months ago. I mean, there's just, and that's one of the positions, that's one of the other things that position did. They were the grant person. So they were a cog all the time getting grants. They were talking to everybody, getting everything. And it's a real big position to be in a cog all the time and have your face known by everybody. And that's how you get connected with all that. But there's a lot of things that get done at cog, and you know as well as anybody that, or at the county level that gets done, and it really doesn't get publicized, and them having their face there, they can grab it and pull it back in or get a phone call from somebody. So.
Another question along the same line, if you don't mind. Sorry, Eric. We're actually on the same topic over here. Did I understand you say that the The coordinator, paperwork administrator cost was $151,000 a year. Was that fully burdened, or is that the?
No, that was the whole, everything. That was some of the benefit stuff. That was the whole.
So one fully burdened employee, new employee that you add back is 151.
No,
Okay.
no, it was, what was it? 75 or 85? Yeah.
So you basically had the position plus the increase in health benefits, is that right?
Yeah, over the last time.
And that equals out to 150?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a few questions. Thank you also for your informative discussion there. If I'm looking at total stats, because I love stats, I do that at work, it looks in the
I have
last,
something you can do.
it looks like in the last 4 years, Hickory Creek has actually gone down, remained relatively flat. We've gone from 15% of your total calls to 13%. Corinth, your total calls over the last 4 years have gone up. 183 calls with Corinth bearing 155 of those extra calls.
Now,
So, I'm sorry.
some of those, one of the things that we did when we started doing the background for this, for the contracts coming up, so we went back and we looked at our databases and found that a bunch of calls in the, these may not be the same as some of them that you saw before, so if you see them being different, what happened was the report management system that we used was addressing calls to the wrong cities or to the wrong, we've got like 10 or 15 here and there.
From previous years.
Right. There's some areas like Hook Street sometimes was given to you guys, sometimes to Lake Dallas.
Okay.
With yours. Some of the 2181 calls, because if you ever look at maps or GIS or any of that, the pixels go kind of funny. Some calls over in your city were being given to Corinth, or Corinth were given to Hickory Creek. So one of the things that we did, we spent about 8 months and went back and totally cleaned the database to make them all.
Okay.
If that, one of the things that happened was in the old days, mutual aid would be set. If we got called mutual aid or we went to help somebody or somebody came to help us, those would go in kind of a separate little area of the statistics. And this one, most of those get put on the Corinth.
Okay.
Now, so sometimes we go to Louisville for a fire to help them out on a fire. Most of those, if Station 2 goes, Lake Dallas gets charged that call. If Station 1 goes, Lake Dallas gets charged that call. Because what it is the mutual aid is given from that city.
Okay. That
Because we
helps.
can't charge those calls to Louisville.
Okay. I'm also looking at, for the year 2008, we were charged about $1,755 per call if we had under 300 calls. That continues to grow. I understand health insurance and the cost of doing business as a city. Would like to continue to see y'all to focus on cost and to truly, as I think Councilman Dupree was mentioning, see if that added headcount is truly needed, as we are all in a recessionary status here in the United States. You had 40 employees 4 years ago. Do you foresee 41-ish employees 5
We had
years from now?
41 4 years ago.
Okay, so this one will
We
be
lost the
41.
emergency management position, so it went down to 40.
Okay,
We're probably, and we talked to our council about this, we're probably about 2 or 3 years away from having to add a person to shift.
okay, okay.
And with the growth starting to pick up here, we're probably not too far off from another station. And that's one of the things that we wanted to do in this contract was get through this contract, not burden it with all this stuff, but probably sometime this year is get kind of a working group with all the cities and sit down and go, all right, you guys got a lot of developments coming, 35's getting redone, Lake Dallas is redeveloping some stuff, Corinth is redeveloping some stuff, and get back and take time and not do what happened 4 years ago and just kind of all in motion and in a hurry kind of go through these contracts and not have to deal with it for basic service like we're doing now to say, okay, in a couple of years, sit down and go, here's where we're going, here's about what we're needing, how do we get there and work together and kind of come up with a solution.
That's a good plan. Do you foresee that new station on the west side of Corinth then, or on that, you haven't identified the exact area, I'm probably, okay.
The west, daydreaming, you can't.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect world, that station would probably cover West Hickory Creek and West Corinth. It would be not way West Corinth, but not kind of to cover the west side of Hickory Creek and the west part of Corinth.
And what's the highest building that the current fire department can handle? And is there a need for 2 stories?
2 stories. The only thing that, there's been a real kind of unspoken moratorium around here about nothing over 2 stories. And the former boss was real stickler on that, and I'm like, you know, we gotta have development, we gotta have revenue, so we'll make things change for that. We currently get Louisville's tower ladder, which is an aerial basket on every fire. And then on the second alarm, we get one, don't laugh right now, Top L's tower ladder on the second alarm. We're getting ready to use Flower down on the west side because they got one. They have a aerial ladder, so we're gonna bring them in on the west side. There's gonna be probably, if and when we get to open Station 3, that's when the truck will be put in with a ladder or something to get higher ladders.
Okay. All right, well, again, thank you for your presentation. It was informative.
I got it.
On the stations that are currently in place, and forgive me, I'm operating off memory here, and I've read this in the newspaper, so I don't know if it's real or not. But it seemed to me like I saw an article several months ago, I don't know how long ago, about that the station that's up in Shady Shores, that because that's built on the north side and it only has 108, are you?
It was kind of a bad written article about some off-filter discussions that when we presented this to our council and stuff. And what it was mainly about was, one of the council members asked me if I was willing to move the station, and I said, yeah. And the reason I said that was because the location Station 2 was at was right on the Denton border. So when you look at a station, and depending on if you use ISO ratings, if you use NFPA standards, or use anything, you really look at it as a circle. Well, up there we have half a circle. So everybody's not getting full benefit of the location of that station. It's great for Denton because they got apartments right across the street, we cover them for them. But it doesn't help anybody else by that being in that location. So
is there serious consideration to abandoning that station?
it was just something that was mentioned that maybe someday down the road we may get to it, and it was just, there's no discussions about it, it's just, yeah. And the boss asked me, do you need a main station? Yeah, we need, this one's in a bad spot, if I could move it, I probably would, but.
A couple things, again, like Councilman Weiser said, great presentation, thanks for bringing the numbers to us. This is my first time hearing all this and seeing it all, the numbers kind of backed up and everything. Same thing Mr. Weiser saw was, we were flat on calls, but totally for the fire department was up 10%. And I'm just looking at Hickory Creek compared to total calls. The floor top, I would like to see more of a 1% to 4% based on our numbers, because if you average our numbers out over 5 years, it's about 3% increase. So I don't know if there's any town around here that can handle a 6% increase in a given year. I think that's tough for anybody to come up with 2 or 3%, to be honest with you, with the taxes, the way they're going these days, and all the budget crunching. The funds that we're talking about, emergency funds for a vehicle, I think it's a great idea. I would probably prefer to have my town hold those funds set aside instead of send them to Corinth. I would be more happy to budget it ourselves and hold that money. And when you guys say you need it, we have it. And if the other towns will do that, I think it's a great idea, but that equates to $150,000 or so over 5 years. So I think we could probably do that as a town, but I'd rather hold the money ourselves and set it aside for that emergency situation. And then the final thing, it's great to hear all the unity you guys have with the other departments. That's pretty impressive. So hopefully, everybody else can get on the same page with that, with our town. We can probably do some more brainstorming and do a lot of cost cutting or savings, and if we work together a lot better as well. But that's all I had really. And the last thing is great to hear your controls over the equipment too. I don't know how many, if you guys go by hours, you go by years, you go by miles.
We go by, mostly by hours, some by mileage, a lot by maintenance.
Yeah, it's good to hear you guys looking over that stuff.
Yeah. We actually used one of our captains is an in-house mechanic. So our guys try to take care of everything they possibly can, which is always better, especially for me. I used to do it when I was on the street, but guy takes a lot more pride in it. He fixes things early so it doesn't get too far away. You know, he's really on top of it all the time. He's on it every day, so he knows. So our guys take really good care of them, and we usually are able to make things last a little longer than we try to. Right now, like us a couple years ago, having to replace that engine, and then we're real close to having to replace the engine. The other engine is just because of the amount of calls and a lot of, it's got 130,000 miles on it, and I've never seen a fire truck over 60. So the one we just took out had 110,000 on it. It's just the amount of calls we run. We only have 2 stations. We've got big area to cover, all the stuff we do, and it's a lot. But I know the guys get every ounce of them out if they can. So
They take care of it. One more question, this is the highlights here. When are we gonna get the actual interlocal?
I was waiting to meet with you guys. We're trying to get one more part from our lawyer, and then I'm hopefully trying to get him out this week.
So when do you work over that, and of course, get with the town attorney as well, and kind of go through that? How much change is there from the other interlocal other than the figures?
Hardly any. We figured it was working good. It was pretty simple. It was, you know, lawyers have to put some extra numbers and words in there, but we tried to keep it pretty close because, you know, with Roger and some of the other cities and stuff, we've all worked really good together. Everything looked pretty, it was working, so I mess up something that's working. So we did add the caps and stuff in there that we'll take that back to our council and some other things.
How does that, and not knowing, read the minutes of the other towns, how does that strike you, what Councilman Kenny was saying? I don't know if this question is for Leanne or Mr. Brazina, or as far as the ceilings and so forth, the CPI, as well as hold the money. It's a great idea.
Well, you won't make a lot of interest on the money, but I don't think that's a deal breaker. Let me go back though to the cap. You're absolutely right. For any one city to pick that up, that could be significant. For our city, you have to pick it up. If it is 6%, we're capped at 4%, then that puts us right back in, and we've either got to start eliminating positions, or we've got to go short on equipment. So I'm more concerned about that issue of the caps. Everybody says we're not going to hit 6%, but what if we do? What if, we go back to the 10% things? Then we got to make a choice. We want a good fire department, and we want to start whittling it down. And so I don't have as much problem with the keeping the money, but I think we really have to look at the cap. Otherwise, we get stuck with it. And we're trying to be as fair as I hope you noticed in this, we kept everything as much the same as we can. The formulas that were fashioned out 4 years ago, we stuck with. And it's just kind of, the departments cost a little bit more now. It doesn't strike as bad, it's just that one is the worst.
All right, well, I guess we'll be expecting that interlocal here. You said by Friday, or?
I'm going to look to, our attorney's been under the weather, so as soon as we get a couple little things, we should get it out as soon as we possibly can. I'll get it to Roger as soon as I possibly can.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we get it out there quick. It seems like we're on the way. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other discussion amongst the council? Increases and everything? I think something, we gotta make sure we get in there also. You said the improvement stays the same, but I want to see in there that we still have a 90-day out. We decided that we would decide to go forward with our own power service. At the end of this 2016, 2017, we'll be paying almost $7,000 a year. That's a lot of money.
I do think we also need to be very upfront about the process of the third fire department, because that may benefit us greatly, but it would also add costs, and so we have to look at the need and the cost.
So just a couple, Lance, I guess you'll get a copy of that too, but that's going to be real important if we decide to do that, in the upcoming years. To do that, to make sure that 90-day balance in there. I was trying to think of the last time we did this 5 years ago. I remember sitting at the high school, I think Chris, you were there, Lynn was there, and Eric was there. And that was a battle in itself. Brent wasn't there, that's right. She wasn't like Dallas came. So, okay. Any other discussions on this? How about this increase, 7.12% on the base? That's a lot. You know, I meant to ask that, why did you jump in the first year? I guess it just didn't feel the cost that they had something like that.
Because I would like to take care of the costs that they've incurred for us.
Right. So if we get in local, we'll just look at it more, we need to, we'll put it back on the agenda, Christie, you know, one of our upcoming meetings, and we'll strike the figures we're not happy with, we'll send it back to them. Because I think you kind of left it open, there's still negotiation with the contract. So, okay, let's move on to the next agenda item, which is consider an action on the after-door hazardous, household hazardous waste collection service offered by Waste Management. Mr. Bobby?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is John Clyber. I'm here representing Waste Management this evening. With me also is a work colleague, Joe James. And Joe's relatively new to our Public Sector Solutions Group. And for reasons I can't explain, he volunteered to come over here this evening and sit in. So, anyway, let me...
I was hoping if you brought anybody, you would have brought John D. Smith, who oversees the landfill over there.
You know, Johnny?
No, I don't. I didn't see his picture, I mean, his name.
He's a good man. And folks, I do apologize for not having enough for complete distribution. Just if you kind of share those, and I do need them back. We just got them in the mail yesterday, and this is basically my props that I'm going to be using. I talked to Shady Shores Mayor this afternoon. He wants a presentation on Monday evening. They have the program in place, but it hasn't been properly advertised. So all this print literature that I gave you, I need back, and I print one myself so I can refer to it, because I can't claim to be an expert on the program at this point either. The At-Your-Door program is part of basically the next generation of green initiatives that Waste Management's been rolling out over the past couple of years. And this particular program has gained a significant amount of interest here in Lake Cities. Lake Dallas and Shady Shores are already on board with the program. I know Corinth has some level of interest in it. I live in Highland Village. The program just got up and running 1st of March. I called the toll-free number on Friday. There should be a kit that looks like what you're looking at today. Should be in the mail tomorrow or Thursday. And they'll be coming by my house one day next week. It's Tuesday or Wednesday to pick up what I have put out. Flower Mound and Carrollton are both on board with the program, and we have received nothing but very positive feedback with it. The idea is to make this service offering as easy and convenient, as cost effective as we possibly can. I have participated in collection events through the Upper Trinity, either as an individual resident or on a couple of occasions volunteering when I was part of Keep Louisville Beautiful Saturday morning collection event at the old City Hall facility there on West Main Street. Run through Upper Trinity. I know that you, by virtue of the contract that you folks have with Lake City's municipal utilities, you have this program available. I think Roger indicated that there's something coming up here for your residents fairly soon. It is a coupon only type of event, which means when I think it's the first 40 residents come in and can get their coupon for the 41st resident, either they're out or they have to pay $90. That I can see as being a little frustrating. Also, I did witness event at Carver's Branch Park in Highland Village a number of years ago when the city of Highland Village was sponsoring it. Didn't need the coupon at the time. Everybody gets in line on Saturday morning, and as they're going through basically the check-in process, once the financial allocation by Highland Village to Upper Trinity had been exceeded, then you start knocking on doors of the cars that are too far back in line and tell them, sorry, you can't do it today. You know, that person got up at, early on Saturday morning, put the chemicals, the paint, the vehicle, all that business. They're in line for 45 minutes an hour, idling, that's not doing anything good for the environment either. And then they're told, oh, sorry, you're gonna have to wait until 6 months for the next collection event. So the way the program is set up for us, this is unlimited. It's not one time and you're out, or once a year, anything of that nature. As the need arises, the individual resident calls, they'll go through a basic question and answer process with one of our representatives on the toll-free line. The kit is shipped, no additional charge, and then a collection time is set up